Hi, welcome to No Budget, the show for no-budget filmmakers by no-budget filmmakers. My name is Milo Dennison, and with me today is Adrian Heffernan and Dave Cullen. All right, guys, let's get right to it. What do you have for me?
Well, I wanted to talk about what no budget is, whether it's no budget, low budget, or whether it's an indie movie. What defines those things,
Before we get into that, how was my intro? Did you like I deepened my voice a little bit?
Yeah, it was kind of cool and smooth,
Yeah, okay.
It was a little bit Troy McClure. Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You may remember me from such independent films as nothing.
All right, sorry. What is no budget?
Well, I guess no budget's just kind of, making shorts on whatever resources you have,
Okay.
So, yeah, using venues that you can get access to, using friends and family if they're interested.
Here, I've got one for you here. I had a list of festivals, and we're not going to go through all of them, but on that subject, the Berlin Film Festival lists a number of categories, and one of them is best, this is like literally, it's all to do with the low budget films. Best feature over 100K, and then it has best micro budget feature under 100K. How is it a micro budget if it has
Under
less
100,000?
than... It's still, okay, 99,999. But and then there's one here, best no budget feature, okay? And how it defines a no budget feature is under 10K.
That's kind of
I
interesting.
mean, it's like,
Sounds like a budget to me.
Yeah, if any of us had that for our films, we'd be happy if we had 9 or 10K.
But then
Absolutely.
you look at something like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. I think that was made for about 800,000 sterling,
Right.
It's a pretty impressive feature film.
Mm-hmm.
And people, when that came out, people were amazed that was made on the budget that was made on.
Sure.
I guess that was before the whole DSLR shooting revolution. You have the Brothers McMullen, made for $22,000 US.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And the thing with the Brothers McMullen is it's a good film. You to your point, the budget, and it still wouldn't count as
Yeah, it wouldn't even make that category. Just kind of.
But I think that's what works for low budget or no budget films is the fact that the Brothers McMullen, it's a story, right? It's about the story about these brothers and their relationship with one another, and you can do that in a low budget film. You can't do a Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels because you've got your action in there.
Wasn't a lot of the guys on Lock, Stock? Weren't they acting basically for nothing?
Yeah,
basically?
for free.
They had to take a huge cut. There's some big actors in it, and a lot of them.
I'm not sure that they were big actors at the time. I mean, Jason Statham, I think that was his doorway to success. And you've got Vinnie Jones. But he was just a football.
But isn't Ray Winston in that film? No. Is he? Because one of the gangster actor that you
Sting's in it.
Okay.
No, but I guess
it's been a while since I've seen that. But
I guess he wasn't
Sting in your
cheap.
film, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But maybe he was because he's more.
But
of a
is this
singer
it's sometimes it's like what Gene Hackman used to do. He used to do the big, huge movies every year,
Yeah.
and then at the same time, but that was just to, like a lot of actors do. That was just to kind of pay the bills, maybe pay the 6 wives or however many these guys have or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Gene Hackman. But the point is, he would do independent movies because that was his passion. He liked the stories because they were better stories.
Yep.
They were truths. They weren't compromised by being pop or whatever.
I think you're really I think that's the whole thing about indie as well now is the fact that kind of so many of the studios are just shooting, Batman 7 and, another Bond movie. And it's all really safe. It's like using the same actors, the same safe plots. I think that's what's exciting about indie is the fact that people can take risks.
Yeah.
People can make something that essentially, because maybe you're only spending 10,000 on a feature or something or 20,000 like the Brothers McMullen. It's not a huge investment. You don't end up with all these corporate people involved kind of going, listen, actually, we need this to be Tom Cruise. We need the sweetheart. We need it to be ABC.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be formulaic. So
Yeah.
then talk about people who just want to start their first film, who have absolutely zero experience whatsoever. They've got, literally not small, low budget, no budget now.
I think that's where it gets exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. That's the nice technology nowadays. You can do it. You've got your cameras. Everybody's got a camera that does video anymore.
Or even if they don't, they have a phone that'll do video.
Yeah. And the new iPhone has a really good camera. You've seen what Apple made. Wasn't that a couple of films made recently on an iPhone?
There was,
4S
I think it was
or
one
5 or 6.
I
or
wish I
whatever.
knew the name, but wasn't there one that won at a festival?
Yeah.
There was one
Yeah.
that's certainly acknowledged anyway.
And you can get accessory lenses for the cameras now
Yeah.
to give them extra,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is great.
So, all right.
And then, of course, the video editing applications, the software is there, the hardware for your laptop, your desktop, to do pretty incredible things.
I think this, it's all about content, and I think we all have the tools to make an indie movie, but it's about having something to say or having something that's worth showing. There's an awful lot of shorts up online on YouTube and that, and you just go, oh my God, no, really?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying now with the brothers McMullen. I mean, just because we have the technology now, doesn't mean you can make it film, because you still got to have your story. You still have to have your engaging characters. You've still got to have, actors that know how to act. So there is a difference there.
And there's a learning curve in terms of production values.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've all seen, they had a pretty good story, but the actors were terrible, the image quality was awful, the lighting was terrible.
Editing was just jarring.
Yeah. And that's
edited by Dave Cullen, so you're like,
there's your first problem right there. Anyway.
All right, so let's move on. Dave, what do you got?
And a short film, it's called Imagine, and it's a 9-minute short British film. I don't know what festivals it's been at, I don't know if it's won any awards, but it's based on a true story. It follows the story of a character, a 10-year-old girl called Millie, and she's, I'm just reading it here because I don't actually know the off heart the name of the condition. It's Niemann-Pick type C, an extremely rare incurable disease which causes neurological decline and dementia. She's only 10 years old. It was based on a story of a girl called Holly. And in fact, if you get more information on it at the Holly Foundation, which is hopeforholly.co.uk. And so it's a 9-minute film that follows the story of this girl as she slips further and further into this condition, and how her parents deal with it, and their frequent meetings with the doctor and the pressure it puts on their family. But what's really endearing about it is that the narration of the story is entirely the little girl from a little girl's perspective. So she's very innocent. And she's just kind of like, oh, mummy and daddy are fighting about something, I don't know why, they seem to be worried about me, kind of thing, and daddy's crying and I don't know why, and mum says he's not and don't worry, and I just want to play and everything. All the while as she's playing in school and all these things are happening to her, she's starting to lose her coordination, she's finding it difficult, teachers are finding it difficult to work with her in school, and she just wants to play, and it's just really, it's a tearjerker for sure. But
did you actually cry?
I did not, because
so
I never do. I had my tear ducts removed surgically.
He went for days.
I will admit, it's a little, you know what the thing is, what they always do that in these films that are based on a true story is that at the end they show in the credits, they show the real girl.
Oh, yeah.
And then
When you first mentioned it was like 9 minutes for a short, I mean, that's really kind of...
Seems like there's a lot of story there, right?
That's at the long end of it. But
well,
it's
it
like...
can
when
be,
you
that's a short, right? A short can be 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it can, but I mean, a lot of the stuff I watch now would be on the shorter side, kind of 5. It's kind of quite, I was like, but that seems like a big story to tell in 9 minutes.
Yeah, it is, and it's beautifully told. I mean, the director, we have to obviously give him credit. Carl Mason, screenplay John F. McDonald, and cinematography by Jack Shelburne. It's worth seeing.
How did you stumble across it?
I was looking genuinely for 2015 short films. I wanted to get something relevant, and it was highly ranked. And thank
Where'd
God
you see it?
YouTube. On YouTube, you can check it out on there. Or because I think it's important to say, people can donate to hopeforholly.co.uk if they want to. So
all right, cool.
I'm ever so clumsy. I can't run as fast or climb as high as my friends. My legs get wobbly, and I have to take my medicine.
All right, well, mine is Older Than Ireland. So it's an Irish independent film made by Alex Fegan.
Fagan. F-A-G-A-N.
F-E-G-A-n.
Fagan.
How would you guys are Irish. How would you pronounce that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're really bad Irish. The worst kind.
So the thing is, I recently saw this in the theater, and the thing I love about it is how simple. Same thing. It's very simple, and the concept of the film is it's basically a documentary. It tells the story of 30 people that have reached the age of 100, and it's simply just them talking to the camera about their lives. And there's a couple cut scenes of maybe like they cut to pictures of when they're younger, maybe a few scenes of them going to the grocery store or something like that. But 90% of the film is literally just talking to the camera. And it's so beautifully done. Like, and it shows that you can make a good film that gets in theaters. I don't know what the budget was. I actually tried to look it up to see if there was anything written on it online. But it couldn't have been a huge budget for that film.
And they're just talking about their lives.
And they're just talking about their lives. Like, and you get the question, like, what's the secret to long life and stuff. And a couple of them are like, oh, it's great, da-da-da. And then there's one lady on there, she's like, I don't think she said fucking, but basically she was like, fucking sucks living this older. Like, everybody I know is fucking dead. This is bullshit. Like, just lights a cigarette. Yeah. But yeah, it was really, really well done.
So it's 30 people.
Yeah, although roughly 10 get most of the screen time. Really, 5 get most of the screen time. And the thing is, like, for me, I do not want to grow old. So like this was the equivalent of a horror film for me.
Okay, do we want to take a look at it right now?
Yeah, let's show a clip.
We have a clip right now.
All right.
No, I never thought I'd live to be 100. My daughter said, I'm not on the register, God forgot all about me. Well, I think he did.
Oh, if you saw all the cards I got. Oh, the Lord save it. Imagine 452.
I feel elated to be over 100.
Yeah, those legs get a bit dodgy side, like when you're walking them. You'll go all right, but slow.
And of course, if you run into me, it's my fault. Even though it's yours, you say that whole bastard shouldn't be on the road.
Actually, I dreamt about him one night, and I was so delighted to see him that I flew at him and put my arms around him, and that was in my dream.
I don't think I ever fell in love. I never lose a night's sleep over a fella.
The meaning of life. How in the name of God did I get here?
Everyone should die at 70.
All right. Well, that was basically the preview. I kind of want to mention it again. It's by Alex Fagan. He's a Irish film director. I'm actually gonna, I think, maybe try to reach out to him and see if we can get him on a show at a later point.
Yeah, definitely.
And I definitely recommend check it out. Theaters near you.
30 people who reached 100. It's hard to believe. And they're all Irish people.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't think there'd be 30 people in
No,
Ireland.
neither did I. I'm surprised at that.
If it was
lucid.
Oh, there's one.
Those are the ones who were able to interview.
Oh yeah, there was the one lady's brilliant because she's very well kept. The one that we saw in the preview, but then there's also one that we didn't see in the preview. An old guy, basically in a hospital bed, and I think he was like the oldest, like 108 or something like that. And literally, he's just like, and you're like, if I ever get to that point, kill me, because I imagine that is what he's saying. You just can't understand what he is saying, and he's probably just saying, fucking kill me.
He's living in the world of daydream there. By the sounds
Totally.
of things.
I don't want to be in your stupid movie.
that guy needs Oculus Rift really, really badly.
Totally.
Yeah, geez. But if it was like 100 people to reach the age of 30, that would be Logan's Run, right?
Yeah.
That would be like, yeah. Complete opposite. Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
And are any of them still alive right now?
Yeah. I think they're all still alive, I would imagine. I don't know. They didn't show that in the credits.
It's
so-and-so has died since this film was like...
this film happened. Just dropped.
We had to wait for all of them to die before we could show this because we didn't actually get any digital media right.
That was a film from this year, or no?
It's in theaters right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we can check that out in the IFC, presumably. Or...
There you go. All right, moving on. Next.
Yeah, I got one here. This is a plugin for Final Cut Pro 10 because I think we need to, obviously show some of the tools of the trade that are very useful to the people who will be doing the video editing. This is called Morph Cut Plugin from a company called Motion VFX. And for me, doing a lot of video blogging and things, a jump cut, say you're doing a documentary and you're shooting a talking head like that film, and you get lots of cuts and somebody takes a long pause and you want to cut that out. Obviously you get this kind of jarring cut like that. You're like, they talk something and then it's like, shit, how do I cover that? And one of the ways you can do it is with Morph Cut.
Okay.
And so it literally just morphs and blends the frames in together. Now there's a way you can do it without a plugin, and it's called optical
Cutaways.
cutaways.
Just
yes.
cut away
Yeah.
the details from the room.
Exactly, you can do that. And the other one is the way you can do it is called optical flow transition, and it's really mathematically complicated because it requires you to take one frame from one side of the cut, the left of the cut, and the right of the cut, and then slow them down and do a whole thing, and it's just a nightmare. But this Morph Cut does it all for you, and it's literally just a transition that's saved in the Final Cut Pro 10 transition folder. You just drag it in, and it does the audio, and it just blends it beautifully, and it's fantastic.
Do you have to pay for this?
You do. It's $59.
Now, on this subject, if you're an Adobe CC user,
Oh, here we go.
Premiere Pro, the latest release of Premiere Pro, actually has an effect built into it that does that exact same thing.
This is what we're always going to get on this. We're going to get the Final Cut Pro
Adobe,
10 versus the Adobe
call me
Premiere.
if you would like me to advertise your products.
Tell you that
Look,
Adobe is the better product.
It is. Premiere Pro is the better product between the two.
I admit that Apple compromised Final Cut Pro with Final Cut Pro 10, but the point is it's a hell of a lot cheaper than Adobe Premiere because you have to buy the whole studio and it's like a monthly.
Yeah, I will agree with
that's
that.
That's a good thing. That's
the subscription
now in a way, isn't it?
No, I hate that subscription
No,
shit. I want to own my software.
I am totally with you. I want to own the software. I do hate the subscription model, but having said that, I do pay the subscription. I do use a lot of their software, and that feature is actually built in.
But anyway, okay, so you've hurt my pride massively, and that was just
no, we value
no, it's valid.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably find on a torrent site somewhere. I would imagine you could find it for free, right?
But look, hello everybody. Look, the point is right. The point is that I don't like that software is moving towards a subscription model at all. They're doing this. Microsoft is doing the same thing with Windows.
Absolutely agree.
And everything, but it started with Office.
Yeah, Office is moving over to it. Yeah, Adobe's
done it. You end
up
paying more for longer. And it's like people are thick.
Absolutely.
They don't realize that this is what they're actually doing.
No, it is bullshit.
Yeah.
So. It's bullshit, Adobe, Microsoft, and whoever else does the subscription model.
Which is everybody. Yeah.
Fuck you guys, even though, of course, they obviously make money. But I think, actually, Adobe will see some kickback on it because a lot of companies now are coming out with competing products to Photoshop.
Right.
As a photographer, I imagine, there are companies coming out with alternatives to Photoshop because a lot of people don't want to pay the subscription for it. And I would not surprise me if they see a backlash.
Any good examples? Besides
that's the one thing I can't think of. When you think about Lightroom, you think about Adobe Camera Raw and Photoshop. It's just like...
What about, you can't beat the GIMP, right?
Yeah.
But you can't, the GIMP is just so terrible. It's free, but it's so bad, it's like a form of torture. The way you pay for the GIMP is the pain of using it. You are the GIMP. Why won't it do what I want? You can't compare the GIMP to Lightroom.
No.
The flow in Lightroom, there's something just so beautiful. You can see all of the generations of development in the Adobe suite.
I'm continually trying to force myself to use Lightroom, and I cannot do it. I'm so accustomed to Bridge and Photoshop that it's really hard for me to switch to Lightroom.
Which features does Photoshop do well? Which one?
So if for photographers, if you use, let's say, a white backdrop that goes down to the floor, right? You might get footprints and shit like that on your drop that you then gotta clean up. And the clone stamp version in Lightroom doesn't work as well as the clone stamp and the paint, because in Photoshop,
so much options
absolutely,
in Photoshop,
you basically can paint that floor in to get rid of any foot stop versus trying to use a clone stamp. That is the primary one for me.
But Lightroom, at the same time, it's like if you take a portrait and you don't need to make changes like that.
Yeah.
You don't need to kind of really, maybe you need to get rid of a spot or something like that, or kind of brighten somebody's eyes. All of those tools are there, and the flow on it is just beautiful. It's got a real functionality that's kind of designed for, I'm a photographer, not making huge edits. I just want to make the best of the picture I took.
So
I'd love something like that for video.
So we are talking about a completely different subject that is the point of this show. So let's move on.
That's why I say the GIMP is perfect, because it's free, no budget, right?
Okay.
Perfect.
So let's move on to Canon. Okay,
here it comes.
So Canon, everybody, so many people shoot with the 5Ds, right? The Mark IIs, the Mark IIIs. last night I was shooting with, I have Mark IIs. We're actually filming this with Mark IIs and a 70, yeah. And I was shooting with the Mark III last night, and I was so frustrated because the group I was filming with, I was using the camera, and I'm like, oh, all you got to do is this, right? All you got to, and I'm sitting there with the camera, like the expert, and I'm like, well, how do you turn this fucking thing on? Oh, how do you? And I'm like, because every iteration of this camera.
Changes.
They change it.
Yeah,
they come out with a new.
Any
The
skill
menus
set
all
you have,
change.
it's
It's
gone.
gone.
I keep going on the 7D and like the 250 Mark IIs. I'm like, for God's sake.
Totally.
How
Like,
do I even
so
record
frustrating.
on this? You were laughing at me before the show. You're like, oh God, he's supposed to be. Like,
Okay, this is a Canon culture. This is a culture within Canon to change everything every time.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. Canon, it pisses me off. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that kind of little rant. I think we've talked enough for tonight. So let's wrap it up. So this, once again, is No Budget for No Budget Filmmakers by No Budget Filmmakers. And I'm Milo Dennison.
I'm Adrian Heffernan.
I'm Dave Cullen.
And we are signing off. Have a good night. But here's really where my rant's coming in. Sony and their new mirrorless cameras.
Yeah, mirrorless is really popular
As a filmmaker, a no-budget filmmaker, well, I guess you'd have to have a little bit of a budget to buy the camera, but they're brilliant with the new Sony, like the what is the RS? Hold on, I actually made a little note of it because that's how much I wanted to rant about this. The A7R
This camera
range of
keeps
cameras
getting mentioned, yeah.
are brilliant